everybody. I am Verdell Jones, host of Conversations with Verdell Jones, and one of the co-hosts of a family show called Conversations with Verdell Jones. We are so excited that you decided to join us to Have You Heard, a show powered by Rude Rangers Entertainment. We also want to make sure that you like and share and you let everybody know about what's going on with this show. You know, there's nothing better than great conversations with great friends, and that's what our conversation is all about today. We hope that we entertain, uplift, and empower you to live your best life possible. And if you like this show, you can see some other shows that are just as good on ruderangers.com. So make sure you tune into that as well. You know, I have the pleasure of being able to do this show with two amazing co-hosts. These women they're just doing it. They are an inspiration. They inspire me every day. And I'm so thankful that they we do this as a team. So let's hear from them. We'll start with Coach Heidi K.
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here with you today to talk together. I am a certified life and dating coach, host of the podcast Break Up to Breakthrough with Coach Heidi K. And I'm also on the faculty of IPEC Coaching, training new coaches to do this work that I love every day. Thank you for that intro, Verdell.
You're welcome. Always a pleasure. And Orlandina, the Fitter Woman.
Hi, my name is Orlandina Vallon, and I am the founder of The Fitter Woman and Fitter Woman University. I am also the executive producer and host of my television show, Muscles and Stilettos. And what I do is I help professional women to reclaim their clock, empowering them with the tools that they need to make time for themselves, body, mind, and spirit.
See, I told you, these women are doing it, okay? And it's such a pleasure. You know, so we're going to be talking about some great things today, but you know, we noticed that one of us has a new background, and it is fabulous. And then we found out that there's some meaning behind the background. So Heidi, share that a little bit, because it's really nice. It's laid out good.
I'm super excited about it. We were chatting a bit about this before we started talking with all of you. So this is some artwork, and it really represents and embodies what I do in my profession as a coach, and really my purpose and my heart of what I'm out there spreading. And that is break up to break through. Mm-hmm. It's what I've been through, and that's what I hold others' hands through, whatever that breakthrough might be. So if you look at the three paintings behind me, it starts out with the sun like peeking through a little bit. Most of the sky is gray, and that's when we're first broken up, right? And experiencing a lot of pain, really hard to spot that sunshine. And then in the middle, the sun starts to come out, and we see, you know, there's a lot of gray, but we can see more of the light. And then in the last painting, you've got that gold shining through, and the sun rose, and our possibilities are limitless in that one. So I'm excited to share that all with you.
It is great. I mean, I love that. You know, and what I've noticed with the Zoom season that we're in, sometimes I don't pay attention to what the people are saying. I'm paying attention to the background.
Yeah.
What books do they have? Or, oh, that's nice. Or why are they in their kitchen? You know, things like that.
Exactly. So when I'm working with my clients, coaching them, I want them to kind of subliminally get encouraged by the sun rising.
Mm-hmm. Nice. I love it. What about you, Orlandina?
Well, actually, I did make some changes.
Yes, I see the curtain. Was it?
Yeah.
See that? We spotted that, Orlandina.
Oh, look at the lights. Okay.
I got fairy lights. I got glitter, like nice shiny curtains.
I love it.
I love the drapery. It just makes me feel luxurious. But the other thing I did was I noticed that I keep looking short.
Yeah. I love it.
In this virtual reality.
Right.
I'm like, I look so short. I'm like, no, there's a little bit more to me than this. I got 2 pillows.
Oh, wow.
And thankfully, you're not wearing sweatpants.
I know, right?
But yeah,
And thankfully, you're wearing a dress.
I'm wearing a dress. I'm wearing something.
Something, yeah.
well, I am in my pajamas on the bottom.
So don't ask you to stand up.
My lounge pants. No, don't ask me to stand up. No. So, my background, I love the blue color. It's one of our signature colors for Let's Kick It with the Joneses. But this painting right here, my mother gave this to me years ago, and I had it in our bathroom downstairs. And I decided to bring it here because it kind of symbolizes the relationship that I have with my girlfriends.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
telling secrets and it's kind of, just having a good time. Like we're having a good time right now.
Yes, I like that.
That is super uplifting.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
is like your sister circle. I love
That's
that.
right. You always have to have a sister circle, just somebody to bounce things off of and have some fun. And they like doing things that you like to do.
Yes,
He does not like to do some of the things I like to do. So
you gotta prove.
he doesn't want little plates. We always tease him, the tapists.
Yes,
He doesn't
yes.
like tapists. He's like, that's little food. I'm not eating that. But my girlfriend's like that. So, you know what? We are going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to get into the conversation talking about legacy.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Have You Heard? I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Coach Heidi K and Verdell Jones. And today we're here to talk about legacy. And remember, click, comment, share. Anyway, legacy. To me, what is legacy? Legacy is what you've left behind after you've built everything. After you designed and put your dream out there, that to me is what legacy is. I mean, I think whenever I think of legacy, I think of my grandmother coming into this country and leaving us this legacy of just being enduring and being able to roll with it, because you're coming into this country without the knowledge of English. My grandmother told me some stories of when she came to this country, and when I look at her, she's deceased now. When I look at and think of her, I just said, could I have been that brave to go into a country that I had no knowledge of, no language, no nothing, and just to come here to make a life for myself, bringing her children in.
Right.
I don't know what you ladies think of when you think of legacy. That's who I think of. I think of my grandmother. I'll share her story a little bit later.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, where did she come from?
So my grandmother came from Haiti. So she came in the 70s. She came by herself. She stayed here for a few months. A few years before she sent for my mom, which was her oldest. And she would slowly bring in her children. And my grandmother worked in a factory. So this woman in Haiti, she was well-to-do. She had a great upbringing, went to great schools. When she came to this country, she was working in a factory. And so it goes to show you that tends to be a lot of the stories of those who come into this country without the knowledge of English. Like, you got to work from the bottom up again. And a lot of times your status coming into this country doesn't match the status that you had in your home, in your homeland. So it was just, when you think about it, I'm like, wow, you knew you came from this, and you got to start from the bottom and work your way back up again. That humbles you. Yeah. That really humbles you.
I can see when you talk about her, Orlandina, that you light up. That's really sweet.
She was a tough lady. I used to call her the little old lady. Do you guys ever see the movie Zootopia? I think it's Zootopia. Or it's either Zootopia. Where was the little old lady? It was either Lion King or one of those movies. There's a little old lady that's like beating the lion with a stick and just that's my grandmother. She's all the time. Tigamun, leave me alone. I'm like,
So obviously she leaves a great impression on you, and she's always with you. What type of things did she instill in you? Because I think legacy is part of that as well. You take from, or they're given, I should say. They give you gifts. And so what gift did she give you that kind of makes who you are?
Laughter. Laughter through everything. Even when things are rough and tough and you just want to cry. My grandmother was known for, in Creole, they say by blag. That means the gift of just gab and just talking and telling all kinds of stories to make you laugh. And so it's even when you're at your lowest, to laugh through it all. So that was one of the things that she really left us, the love of music. She was a pianist, and everything she did was at that piano. She taught me to play the piano. I was too young to start school, to take classes, to take lessons, and she would sit with me. So I learned to count, like I still count music in French. I still count things,
Right.
So because of that, so she left that legacy of just the love of music and the love of just telling and sharing stories, because that keeps that connection. So everything she shared, every lesson always came with a story. She would always say, let me tell you a story,
Well, Orlandina, she gave you the gift of gab and that talent and ability to tell stories and keep people laughing too.
That's right.
I'm seeing a lot of her in you as you describe her.
Right, yeah.
So my grandma.
Yeah,
but
positive.
Funniest story I have about my grandmother, I always loved this story. She came to this country and she saw wigs. And she always wanted her hair, she always kept it in a chignon, like a little bun. And she decided she wanted to try on a wig because that was what's popular.
Yep.
So she lived in Brooklyn at the time. And she has this wig on and she's walking down Pitkin Avenue. She's walking, she's like, I'm really feeling myself. She's thinking she's so cute. And, she saw people looking at her. And she's wondering why people are looking at her. But she says, I'm thinking that I must be really looking good,
She's a real turner.
She was like,
right.
So she said, she saw somebody come up to her and they were like, and she's like, what? They were like, and they pulled her aside, they said, your wig is on backwards.
Oh man. She tried.
And she took the wig off and stuffed it in her pocket. Never wore wig again.
Never wore wig again. Wow.
Never wore wig again.
But she laughed about it afterwards.
She laughed. I mean, when she laughed, like tears would come out of her eyes when she laughed about this.
That's the best.
But that's why, like, whatever it is, whatever's going on, just roll with it and just laugh and just keep it moving.
Yeah, I'm sure her journey here, she had to have that spirit, I'm going for a better life or what have you. And she had to have her spirits up, because that's a treacherous, treacherous thing to do, to leave your home.
Leave your home, a woman by yourself. So
right, absolutely.
I applaud her.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And when I think of my maternal grandmother, that was my maternal grandmother, and my paternal grandmother, same thing. She came to this super young, leaving children behind, and just having this story of having to work hard. And then seeing what their children accomplished, and then what their grandchildren accomplished.
Yep.
You just see this elevation of and this movement forward.
Right.
And what I love about our families, we always honor where we've come from. So no matter what level we reach, no matter how many 6-figure, 7-figure income, it doesn't matter. Everybody is still, at least my close-knit family. I don't know if everybody else, but my close-knit family, very humble, always remembering where they came from and honoring that. So that's a beautiful thing.
Part of the legacy.
Yeah, our legacy.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah. So with that being said, we'll be back after these commercial breaks. Please remember to share these stories that we want to share with you all. Comment, like, and follow each of these amazing women. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dan O'Shea, Executive Director for Lawrence Haven Homeless Outreach. It is our mission to support the homeless in our community, and we do that with the support of so many volunteers just like yourself. To help us, please go to
Welcome back to Have You Heard, a show powered by Rude Rangers Entertainment. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you like, share. We would love to hear from you, so please comment in the chat section. So we were talking about legacy, and Orlandina shared the beautiful story about her grandmother and how she came to America, and that I'm always amazed and just inspired by those types of stories, because it's not easy coming into, I wouldn't know, coming into a brand new country and not knowing the language, like you said, it's very difficult. And legacy to me is so important. And I think it really kind of drives what I do. And I'm always talking to our children about legacy and how important legacy is. Because when you look back on your family, they thought they knew the importance of legacy also. So that brings me to my grandfather. My grandfather, he passed away earlier this year. He was 93 years old, and he actually left. He was born in South Carolina. So I'm a South Carolina. All my family's from South Carolina, except my mother's mother. She's from Virginia, but everybody else is from South Carolina. So in South Carolina, that was where the major slave trade happened. So South Carolina, so I often say, I'm blackety black, because that's where we went. We went to South Carolina.
The real deal.
The real deal, right? So, but my grandfather was one of 13 children, and he left his home when he was a young teenager, 13 years old. He left, he went to Atlanta, and then he eventually wound up in Brooklyn as a young man. And one of the things, going through his house, because we're clearing out his house right now, which is an interesting task, to say the least. You learn so much about him. I learned about him while he was here, obviously, because we did spend a lot of time with him, which I'm very fortunate we did. But it's just, you look at someone's life and what they accomplished and what they accumulated over the years. And my grandfather was an entrepreneur. So he he sold Leatherworks by Rufus. That was his company. And he was a cowboy. So my grandfather had so many, just so many facets of his life. And I just think it's so important to honor his legacy. So I guess my question to you would be, how do you honor your loved one's legacy in a way that, I like to say, you take a little piece of them and incorporate it into who you are?
Great question. I think part of it is passing down their stories.
Yeah.
Listening to their stories and passing it down. And then as you pass it down, pumping that into whoever you pass it to, that they should continue passing it down. Right. I think that's one way.
Mm-hmm. Our children are, I just lost my father-in-law as well. And my father-in-law is Caribbean. He was from Jamaica, and he came here, from Jamaica. His brother was here, and he came, to stay with his brother and built a life here. But what our children are doing is they're interviewing my mom, my dad, my husband's, uncles, because we want to get those stories. We want to capture it. Another thing my grandfather did was so interesting. He had a video camera every single place he went. So we were able to find this lost footage. He has footage of me and Jeremiah when we were teenagers and dating. He has all these parties, and he would interview people as he went to Alaska, was interviewing people, Arizona, everywhere. And he would ask them questions, and he would get their story. And it's just so amazing how now that's what we want to do. We want to get the stories out there. And who knew that he was doing that? I didn't really register that when he was doing it at the time. We were just like, oh, granddaddy with the camera, But it's so taking that and being able to pass that on to our children is a beautiful thing.
Did you know that he was traveling and interviewing people while he was traveling?
Well, he always had the camera.
Yeah.
And we just thought, I didn't really make the connection that he would ask people, what their age was, what their occupation was, just all these things. And he had relatives that have long passed away, and we have this footage of them telling their stories. And we found it. Yeah.
So it's so interesting because that's what you do. It's like it carries on in the blood. It's like a genetic code. You're going to be interviewing or capturing people's stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got that. You got the talent for asking questions and that curiosity about people.
Right. It's amazing. And what a gift. So when we found all of these VHS tapes that he had, and we also found some reel to reels, we converted them to, digitally, to be digital. And we were just going through them, and he gave us such a gift. And I think as we get older, we need to give those gifts to our loved ones as well, so they can be able to carry it. And now we have different ways to do it, so it's very important to do that. So how do you carry on your legacy within your families? What are some things that you may do to keep that going?
I find that we always tell stories about my grandmother.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, my mom would tell us a lot of stories about growing up in Haiti, and they were children's stories too. So I noticed it was more of a culture of, people write, but it was more of the oratory. Everything was through oratory.
Griot, right? Yeah, the griot, yeah.
And griot, exactly, the griot. So everything was all about storytelling.
Right.
And so I believe that when you honor your elders, you speak of them. Because that saying, it's you die when no one can speak your name. That's when you truly die.
I
feel like
believe that.
If you're able to continue to speak their name and bring and keep in life or keep life to their memories, that's a great way of honoring them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So sometimes in my family, we use the expressions, the verbal expressions that they used to use.
Right.
So one of my grandmothers, she was amazing. I hope she'll forgive me for saying this. She was sometimes a little cynical about people. So she used to say, she would tell a story about something somebody did, and then she'd say, go with people. That's what happens.
Go with
Go with people. So when we get annoyed at somebody, we say to each other in my family, go with people.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. The other thing is pictures. My grandfather he had pictures everywhere in his house, and he always used to tell me, have pictures up all the time of your family.
Wow. Because
it's the same, speaking their name and telling their stories and having their image. It's like, I don't know if you have watched Coco.
Yes,
it's
Coco,
animated.
The animation. Oh, I love that movie. Yes,
and it's all about the Day of the Dead, and in Mexican culture, and they believe that having the images up of their loved ones, they'll never really die.
Yes.
So that's yeah.
I have to be more mindful. Now I have to, like, when you say it, I love looking at photos, and I have not done that in my space here because, you're like, oh, it's an apartment. But it is nice to have your photos of your grandmothers, your grandfathers, your, just the family. I have photos. So, yeah.
It really is. And it's amazing how we have, photos of my great grandparents, and like we have a lot of photos. I guess maybe they were vain. I don't know, but there were a lot of pictures.
I have pictures in my office. Of my parents. I still have my mom, thank God, but my dad is gone, and I have a picture of them from an anniversary party. And they're beaming with the cake, with the candles, and I love having that and glancing at it. It really keeps them alive to me.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, we're talking about legacy, and we're going to take a short break, and we're going to pick up this conversation. Make sure that you like and share, and we want to hear from you. So comment in the chat section. We'll be right back.
Dropping gems from Keisha Christian. She's on a mission, sharing information, knowledge for soul, body and mind. Dropping gems, KeishaGems.com, KeishaGems.com.
We are back. You are listening to Have You Heard, powered by Rude Rangers. And we are excited to continue talking to you about legacy. I'm here with my amazing co-hosts, Verdell and Orlandina. And I've been learning so much from them about their families and about what was passed down. And I thought I would talk a little about one of my grandmothers. I spoke briefly about the other grandmother before. But this grandmother, I think of her so often. The greeting that she gave us when we came to her home, I think that's a big part of her legacy. My sisters and I still talk about it. She lived in a, kind of a rundown apartment. It was really small. It was dark and gray. And, it had kind of smells all around, nothing luxurious was happening in this apartment building. But when we stepped in the doorway of that building, we were so excited. We couldn't run up the steps quickly enough because we knew she was going to swing the door open and be watching for us to walk up the steps and give us this greeting. I don't know if anybody has ever greeted me like that again. She was elated elated to see us. And she showed it and she shared that. And for us to go into that apartment, it would be like another kid going to Disney World. There were no toys. There was nothing. It was dark. It was gray. It was crowded. But there was so much love coming, light and love coming out of her. So that's part of the legacy that she gave me. You know, how do you feel when you go into somebody's home and they greet you warmly? What do you think about it?
I feel special. I have an aunt, my grandmother I was speaking of earlier, whenever you would come, she would feed you. I mean, it was like this huge meal. My mother would come and she'd say, who are you cooking for? She'd say, I'm cooking for you. Let the kids eat. You know, it was just like, please, you know, let them eat. And she would have all kinds of cookies and all kinds of stuff. And we would be like, it was great. But I have an aunt, when you come over, she always calls you princess.
Oh,
princess, come here, princess. Let me cook. Let me see. It's always, and she just loves on you. And it's the greatest feeling. She's been ever since we were little. Oh, my beautiful princess, my beautiful princess. It feels so good.
Yeah, that means a lot. The way they refer to you. My grandmother that I'm speaking of, she used to call me Dolly. She'd say, "Come here, Dolly," and you know, nobody ever called me that. It's so sweet. It's so sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting how we're talking about our grandparents, our aunt. Specifically, we're talking about grandparents and talking about their stories. Grandparents have such a big impact on children. It's really unbelievable. My grandparents, my dad's parents, they had a profound impact on me. My father's father, who he was a teacher, and I'm an educator, and I never really made the connection that, I'm a teacher too, until he passed away. It never dawned on me, but he would teach me all the time. We would get maps, and he would teach me about the continents and all the different countries in Asia, and just, he had and who knew? I didn't even, you take it in, and I think that's the love that you get, or the lessons that you get, you take those in, and it really kind of pieces you together as a person. Honestly, I really believe that.
Yeah, you don't realize that it's happening, but you can look back on it later.
Yeah, it's the reflection of it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then, she would really, when I would visit her, she would spend quality time with me, real quality time. I still remember what she used to play. She used to play the card game Concentration with me.
Yeah. Oh, right.
A form of memory. And she wouldn't let me win. She was really playing. She was really playing. And
I love you, Jolly, but you got to go down.
Hey, holy schmolly, I'm being
That's right. No easy wins here.
No easy wins here.
But she would sit and patiently play. She wasn't rushing anywhere. It wasn't like, okay, we'll play one more hand and that's it.
No.
She would just sit and play it. And then she would also play hide and seek with me.
Oh, wow.
A youngster. But she would hide herself in the closet. She would, wedge herself into different places, and it was so much fun. It was so much fun. So she gave that, kind of like eternally youthful kind of vibe by playing those games. Right. She didn't say, "Oh, I can't move myself." She moved herself,
She just did it. She did it.
Just did it.
A grand Dolly's here.
I could see in her hands that she was arthritic, but she got herself into that closet.
Oh man, those memories. That's part of the legacy. Oh man, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that was before like the cell phone. Now there would be that distraction. Yeah.
Yes. And now it's the whole idea of just whenever you are visiting family, like being intentional, putting the cell phone down and being present so you can enjoy the moment. Even with the cell phones, everybody wants to take pictures and do videos, but you can get caught up, just take a quick photo, get that, and then just enjoy each other because that memory is there.
It's ingrained in you.
And I think that's so important. I was closer to my maternal grandmother than my paternal grandmother. My maternal grandmother was far more affectionate, but my paternal grandmother, she wasn't very affectionate, but her legacy was just practicality. She was practical. clean, how to keep your house, everything was very practical. But she showed you love through what she did. When you came over, you cooked big, beautiful meals. She's a big praying woman, just prayed before family dinners. She would pray, but she'd be airing out people's stuff while she was praying. She'd say, God, please keep so-and-so from doing such and such. You all be like, oh.
She was throwing the shade.
No. We said she was the queen. After she invented throwing shade before throwing shade came
right.
in. Right in the middle of prayer. Family prayer.
Pray for that one, Lord.
That is hysterical.
So we were all being like, oh my God.
That's great.
She was all about practicality. Come over. She was the grandmother with the white glove.
Oh, wow.
Is there something wrong with the vacuum?
Wow. Oh, boy. She was shady.
She said, Nina, is there something wrong with the vacuum?
Then she would pray that your vacuum.
Yeah, right. Wow.
That's so great.
But they show you how to be and how to move as a woman. She was tough.
Yeah.
She was tough. But that was her gift, her legacy of just being very practical. And she wasn't very, demonstrative, but she sure, you knew she loved you. She was just so funny about it.
I would encourage everyone to really, sit back and take into account what people give you in your family. Because I had mentioned my grandfathers. Some of the things, especially my grandfather passed away in 2015, my papu, he was a teacher. Yeah, I knew that. But I wasn't conscious. So I think we need to be more cognizant of what's going on and how these people impact you. Like I take certain things from my mother and my father. I'm more like my dad, but I take things from my mother that I know now because I'm paying attention. So pay attention to it because you can honor them in that way by thanking them for helping develop who you are, but just be more aware, just knowing it. This is where I get this from. This is where I get that from,
Yeah. That's great, Verdell.
Nice.
So I want to kind of turn to you, wise women, and ask you what resonated most from our discussion today. Orlandina, kick it off for us. What resonated most for you?
What kind of legacy am I going to leave behind? And is my legacy going to be as impactful as my grandmother's and the women before me? Just even my legacy as a woman, my legacy as a daughter, as a sister. I'm not yet a mother. I don't know if that's in the cards, but just my legacy as a woman, as Orlandina, what will be my legacy? And I hope that it is a legacy of courage. I hope that it is a legacy of I can do anything, because I know as an educator, I've come across so many children, so many young people, and I hope that it's a legacy of just feeling like powerful people, powerful human beings. So, just hoping that it's such a strong legacy. What legacy will I leave behind, and being intentional about it too.
Yeah, that's inspiring. It sounds like you already have some idea of what that legacy is.
Right.
we can feel it.
The warriors.
That's right.
Little warriors walking around.
You, Verdell, what's resonating most with you?
Through our conversation today, everyone has a story. And everyone has our families, that saying, I think Maya Angelou said this, I'm probably going to get it wrong, but I'll paraphrase, we're more alike than we are different. And, we have discussions, in our family about, divisiveness in the country and how we, why can't we all just get along? Why can't that happen? But in this conversation, you realize that we all have families. We all want to build a legacy for our families, and we are alike than we are more alike than we are different. And that's kind of what resonates with me.
That's a great message. That's a beautiful message. I hope a lot of our listeners take that in.
Yeah.
as you were both talking, I was thinking about how, everybody has a legacy, and they can be so different from each other. You're talking about how alike we are, but look at what I was saying about my grandmother, and then Orlandina was talking about hers with the white glove with the dust, and
Right.
that's what she's passing down, and what my grandmother was passing down, I was sharing with you. And it's amazing how many facets there are to human beings.
Absolutely.
But they're all important legacies that we can benefit from and pass along. So nobody should feel like they don't have something to pass along as a legacy, because it's so vast in what you might be able to pass along. So I love what you both shared.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's tell everybody where they can find us. Orlandina, where can everybody find you if they want to hear more?
So to find out more about me, you can visit me at thefitterwoman.com. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at thefitterwoman.com. I have a private Facebook group called Fitter Woman University, and there I share tips and strategies on how to reclaim your time so that you can manage those busy schedules and make time for self-care, body, mind, and spirit. So you can definitely find me there. And watch out for my show right here on Rude Rangers, Muscles and Stilettos.
Fantastic. Fidel, where can everybody find you?
So you can follow me on Instagram, and that's at Deli Teach. And you can also find me there on Facebook as well. And you can also visit my website, VerdelJones.com, and you can check out Let's Kick It with the Joneses on our YouTube channel, Let's Kick It with the Joneses, and also my show, Conversations with Verdell Jones, on YouTube at Conversations with Verdell Jones.
Fantastic. Everybody need to follow these two women. And if you want to find me, come on and join my Facebook group, Break Up to Breakthrough with Coach Heidi K. And I invite you to listen to my podcast with the same name, Break Up to Breakthrough with Coach Heidi K, just like my background.
Nice.
My website is Reinvention Life Coaching. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram, Coach Heidi K. I want to thank you so much for being with us and sharing in our legacy conversation. Keep on sharing, commenting. We want to hear about your legacy stories. So share it with us here in the comments, and join us again for Have You Heard and so many other great shows powered by Rude Rangers Entertainment. Stay safe. Take care.